I don't know what exactly happened, but I went like this.
That's what I'm saying, bro. They were supposed to be fighting. I didn't see no knife get pulled or nothing. Just see her, no, she bleed on her neck, man.
The room is still when Bryanna Barozzini walks in, but the moment she sits down, every eye locks on her. She leans back in her chair, lifts her chin, and lets a small smirk stretch across her face, as if this is just another inconvenience she'll talk her way out of. The judge studies her. Halia's parents tighten their grip, trying to steady themselves. A deputy adjusts his stance, watching Bryanna instead of the screen that's about to change everything. For a few seconds, it feels like she truly believes she's going home. But then the prosecutor reaches for the remote, the monitors flicker to life, and the moment that video plays, everything shifts.
Hey, get off my sister, bro. Get off my sister. Hey, if you touch my sister, girl, I'm gonna have to put my phone down, bro. Halia, crunch her to get it over with, bro. Crunch her get it over with, Halia.
As the hearing begins, the camera catches Bryanna Barozzini in slow motion, brows relaxed, shoulders loose, that same quiet smirk resting on her face, as if she's already decided how today will end. She sits there with a calmness that doesn't match the weight of what this room is about to relive. A few spectators whisper under their breath, trying to make sense of her expression. Why is she smiling? What does she think is coming? Her attorney leans closer, offering quiet instructions, but even he seems unsure if she's listening. The judge watches her with a steady, measured gaze, concerned, cautious, waiting to see if the composure she's wearing is a mask or pure disregard. And just a few feet away, Halia Culbertson's family sits in painful silence, a mother holding her breath, a father gripping the edge of his seat. Their world changed forever, yet here they are, forced to face the girl who took their daughter from them. As you follow this case with us, make sure you like this video, subscribe for more updates on stories that shape our courts and our communities, and share your thoughts in the comments. Because what happens next is something no one in that courtroom ever forgot. The prosecutor rises slowly, a quiet signal to the bailiff. A soft, mechanical hum fills the courtroom as the screen begins to lower, drawing every set of eyes toward the front. Bryanna Barozzini leans back in her chair, arms crossed, still carrying the same confidence she walked in with, like this is just another formality, another moment she'll shrug off. She glances at the screen with the faintest hint of boredom, unaware that the next few seconds will rewrite the entire room's understanding of what happened that March evening in Westerville. The lights dim slightly, a click echoes through the speakers. The surveillance footage begins. At first it's just shapes and silhouettes, the grainy outline of a residential street near Polaris Parkway, a place where teenagers usually gather, laugh, talk, and go home safe. But tonight was different. The footage sharpens, and Bryanna shifts forward just a little, her smirk thinning but still present. The prosecutor steps aside, letting the video speak for itself. Then the moment appears, Bryanna on screen, taking several steps toward 17-year-old Halia Culbertson, not backing up, not turning away, advancing. The prosecutor pauses the frame right as Bryanna lifts her arm, the reflection of the knife catching the streetlight. In the real courtroom, her face changes instantly. The smirk evaporates, replaced by a tight, stiff look of someone realizing that her version of events is no longer in her control. The video rolls again. The confrontation shows Halia stepping back, hands up, clearly trying to walk away. Witness statements later confirmed she said, "I don't want to fight." But the footage makes it undeniable. She's retreating, trying to create distance. The escalation doesn't come from her. It comes from Bryanna. In the courtroom, someone gasps softly. A chair shifts. A woman covers her mouth. Even seasoned detectives, who have seen countless acts of violence, sit forward with their arms crossed and their jaws set tight. The footage shows the moment of impact, Bryanna swinging forward not once, but repeatedly. Medical examiners later testified that the wounds were direct, deliberate, and concentrated, not wild or defensive. On screen, Halia stumbles, tries to escape. But the camera captures everything, her fear, the sudden collapse, the chaos afterward. The video ends with the frantic motion of bystanders calling 911, trying desperately to save Halia's life. The screen freezes. Silence fills the courtroom. Not the calm kind, but the heavy, breath-stealing kind that sits on everyone's shoulders. And in that silence, in that stillness, the truth finally begins to surface. Every lie begins to die here. Westerville, Ohio, a suburban pocket just outside Columbus, quiet streets, well-kept lawns, the kind of place where neighbors wave from driveways and high school life shapes the rhythm of the community. It is a city known for Friday night games, youth programs, and families who believe they live far from the violent headlines that plague bigger cities. Which is why what happened here felt like a rupture in the town's sense of safety. The courtroom lights fade in on the backdrop of this environment, a place where tragedy wasn't supposed to happen, and yet On March 26, 2023, it did, because at the center of this case is Halia Culbertson, just 17 years old. Friends describe her as gentle, conflict-avoidant, painfully loyal. A teenager who wanted peace more than drama, someone who often backed away from confrontation rather than escalated. She was the type of girl who apologized even when things weren't her fault, the kind of heart everyone assumed would grow into something soft and steady in adulthood. And then there's Bryanna Barozzini, 19, a young woman known among peers for intense emotional swings, jealous conflicts, and online disputes that never seemed to end. She had a pattern of letting anger simmer until it boiled over. Many who knew both girls have said the tension between them didn't happen overnight. It escalated through social media, exchanges, friend group drama, and misunderstandings that grew into personal hostility. Police later noted in public filings that Bryanna displayed reactive behavior tendencies, patterns consistent with impulsive and emotionally volatile decision-making. And everything reached its breaking point on the night of March 26, 2023. According to police reports, Westerville officers and medics responded to the scene after multiple frantic 911 calls. What first responders found was devastating.
Hey, get off my sister, bro. Get off my sister. Hey, if you touch my sister again, I'm gonna have to put my phone down, bro. Halia, crunch her to get it over with, bro. Crunch her, get it over with, Halia.
Halia stabbed multiple times, unresponsive. There were no signs of mutual combat, no indicators that she fought back. The details from the police report later confirmed what prosecutors emphasized to this day. There was no evidence of self-defense. Nearby, several teen witnesses, shaken and crying, pointed immediately to the same name, Bryanna. Their statements were consistent. The confrontation escalated fast, and it was one-sided. Some described Halia stepping back. Others said she tried to leave altogether, but every account converged on one truth. Halia never posed a threat. And this is why the courtroom atmosphere feels so heavy now. Because as the evidence unfolds, the community's illusion of safety collapses, replaced by the harsh reality that violence can erupt, even in places built on trust, routine, and teenage innocence. And in that stillness, inside that courtroom full of parents, students, reporters, and grieving family, the truth begins to surface, stripping away the rumors, the excuses, and the online narratives that tried to muddy what really happened. The medical examiner's report cuts through ambiguity with the bluntness of a scalpel. What would otherwise be abstract grief becomes a set of concrete facts. Emergency responders rushed Halia Culbertson to the hospital after the March 26, 2023 confrontation. She was later pronounced dead from a single fatal stab wound to the neck. That wound was the difference between a life that would continue and a family's calendar that would forever stop at 17. In the autopsy, the path of the blade and the depth of the injury told a precise story. This was not the kind of injury that happens when someone flails in panic or in a desperate, clumsy attempt to ward off an attack. Forensic testimony in court described the wound as direct and focused, consistent with a deliberate thrust aimed at vital structures rather than a broad defensive strike. Medical experts explained how the mechanics of the injury, the angle of entry, and the lack of multiple defensive wounds painted a picture of intent and control. Those technical details were paired with an equally chilling reality on the stand. The timeline from the moment the knife was first seen on surveillance to the moment the blow landed was short, decisive, and irreversible. Paramedics' reports and hospital records corroborated what the footage and the autopsy suggested. The injury was singular and catastrophic, giving Halia only minutes before she was rushed to Ohio Health Riverside and later pronounced dead. Court filings and reporting make clear how quickly a social moment devolved into a catastrophic injury that could not be undone. Defense counsel argued in filings and in court that Bryanna Barozzini reacted to a sudden threat, that she had tried to retreat, and that the violence that followed was born of fear and confusion. Prosecutors countered with a medical narrative, the anatomical precision of the wound, and the absence of broad defensive injuries on Halia were inconsistent with a chaotic, mutual fight. Forensic pathologists explained to the judge and the gallery that wounds inflicted in the heat of mutual scuffling typically show a pattern of defensive cuts, bruises, and erratic trajectories, patterns that were not present here, and so the medical record becomes one of the strongest threads in the prosecution's woven case. Clinical notes, autopsy details, and hospital timelines that together remove some of the fog around motive and intent, and replace it with clinical clarity. In that clarity, the narrative that this was a split-second reflex collapses. Injuries contradict Bryanna's claim that she just reacted. When detectives arrived on the scene outside the convenience store that night, they found Halia Culbertson, bleeding, unsteady, and clearly gravely wounded. According to reports, the first officers to arrive at the 5600 block of Emporium Square were confronted with the aftermath of a sudden violent escalation. People were in shock, the parking lot was strewn with chaos, and bystanders looked on in horror. One officer later described the room as frenzied. But in the midst of the chaos, Bryanna Barozzini stood apart. Body camera footage captured her demeanor, unnervingly calm, composed, almost rehearsed. She answered questions without trembling. She did not collapse in regret or confusion. Those on the ground later said she had a resolve to her posture, like she knew exactly what she had done, but also believed she could explain it away. Investigators reconstructed the crime scene carefully. Footprints, blood spatters, and camera evidence were all mapped. The reconstruction placed Bryanna and Halia in a way that contradicted any notion that Halia had been the aggressor in a self-defense scenario. Rather than cornering Bryanna, she appeared to retreat. She did not strike first, according to forensic layouts of witness statements and physical evidence. But one of the most damning discoveries came in the detectives' very early notes. Within minutes of interviewing Bryanna, they documented a crucial detail. She changed her story. What she initially told officers didn't match her subsequent statements. According to the police blotter, Bryanna first claimed she acted out of fear, but then leaned into a version that suggested she had no other choice. That shift is now a cornerstone in the prosecutor's case. Her narrative changed before her emotions could even settle. That small, recorded contradiction, so early, so deftly hidden, becomes a turning point. It's a quiet but powerful twist. Bryanna's composure may not have been innocence. It may have been something far more calculated. In the digital age, evidence often lives long before a crime occurs, quietly recording grudges, arguments, and intentions. Bryanna Barozzini's phone and social media accounts became a roadmap of escalating tension. Screenshots presented in court showed passive-aggressive posts, veiled but pointed, targeting Halia Culbertson in ways that hinted at simmering resentment. Cryptic threats appeared in direct messages, casual enough to be dismissed at first glance, but ominous in hindsight. Text exchanges revealed a pattern. Irritation grew, hostility intensified, and minor disputes morphed into full-blown antagonism. Investigators tracked Bryanna's location data and found her precisely where she claimed she wasn't. Every digital footprint contradicted her courtroom narrative, painting a picture of a confrontation that was not spontaneous, but, in moments, seemingly inevitable. The prosecutors saved one for dramatic effect. A recovered, deleted message that no one expected. "I'm done being disrespected." It spoke to the mindset that led to tragedy, a quiet confession of frustration, and a breaking point that would soon have deadly consequences. Courtroom witnesses brought the story closer to home. Teen friends of both girls took the stand, voices trembling as they recounted months of tension. One testified bluntly, "She wanted to teach Halia a lesson. Not out of self-defense, not in fear, but as a calculated assertion of dominance."
I don't know what exactly happened, but I went like this.
That's what I'm saying, bro. That they were supposed to be fighting. I didn't see no knife get pulled or nothing. They said no, she cleaned on her neck, guys.
Neighbors reported hearing the argument long before the fatal encounter, shouting that pierced the quiet of a typical suburban evening. Their testimony confirmed that this wasn't a spur-of-the-moment dispute. It had escalated visibly, audibly, and predictably. Behavioral experts detailed Bryanna's psychological patterns, a tendency toward control, marked insecurity and impulsivity. Her reactions were measured, but emotionally volatile, a recipe for confrontation that spiraled out of control. And then came the twist. A witness recalled seeing Bryanna grip the knife long before the confrontation escalated, a moment previously unknown to authorities. This small but critical detail transformed the perception of intent, showing premeditation in a way that made the sequence of events unmistakably deliberate. The courtroom feels heavier now, each seat carrying a weight that cannot be lifted. Halia Culbertson's mother sits rigid, hand pressed against her mouth, eyes wide and unblinking as the video replays for the jury. Every frame of her daughter's final moments cuts into her chest, and the tears she tries to hold back glisten like fragile glass. Her husband sits beside her, shoulders hunched, quietly wiping away tears that escape despite his effort to stay composed. Their grief is raw, unfiltered, and visible to everyone in the room. Friends of both girls are called to the stand, faces pale, voices trembling. Some fidget with their hands, others bite their lips, trying to contain the flood of memories. Each question brings them back to that night, every movement, every shouted word, every choice that could have been different. They recount what they saw, their words punctuated by pauses heavy with fear and regret, their youth exposed to the harsh adult reality of court. Detectives maintain a professional tone, explaining the evidence, reconstructing the timeline, and describing the autopsy findings. But even their measured voices carry a tension beneath the surface. Every word is calculated, precise, yet the strain is evident. They too witnessed the human cost of a life ended too soon. A tragedy unfolding in a place meant to deliver justice. Spectators shift in their seats, whispers slicing through the courtroom like fragile threads of disbelief. Some shake their heads, some cover their mouths, others stare blankly at the screen, trying to process that a teenager's smirk could have preceded such a devastating act. With each new piece of evidence, Bryanna Barozzini's carefully crafted story crumbles, leaving only the stark reality of what occurred. This is the moment the human toll of the crime becomes undeniable. Grief, fear, regret, and sorrow mingling in the air, impossible to ignore. The audience witnesses not just the aftermath of violence, but the fractures it leaves in families, friends, and a community forced to confront the worst in one of its own. And as you watch, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more courtroom cases that uncover the truth behind the headlines, and comment below with your thoughts on the story unfolding before you. Immediately after the incident, Bryanna Barozzini's words painted a picture of fear and reaction. She told officers, "She hit me first, I panicked, and I was scared." Each statement framed her as the victim, caught off guard by an aggressor she could not control. The courtroom hears these words again and again, as if replaying them could make them true, as if repetition might rewrite what happened that night. Months later, during interviews and discussions with friends and family, Bryanna softened her narrative, attempting to recast her actions in a more defensible light. She said, "I didn't mean for anything to happen, and I was defending myself." The tone is apologetic, almost pleading. But the timeline of events captured on film is already beginning to contradict her version. And then the video plays again. The footage does not lie. Bryanna advances first. She raises the knife first. She continues forward even as Halia steps back, trying to create distance, trying to survive. The juxtaposition is undeniable. Her words suggest fear, but her actions reveal intent. The courtroom witnesses it. All tension gripping the room as her carefully constructed narrative collapses under the weight of indisputable evidence. The truth becomes clear in every movement she made that night. It isn't in what she said, it's in her footsteps, her choices, her actions. Every claim she made before, every attempt to redirect blame or soften responsibility, is rendered moot. In this moment, the audience sees that deception has a limit and the consequences are unavoidable. As you follow this case, remember to like this video, subscribe for more courtroom investigations, and comment below, because what you're seeing is the stark difference between what someone says and what they actually do. Bryanna Barozzini's actions were not random. They were the result of a mindset shaped by entitlement, a belief that she could control not only her peers, but the consequences of her own behavior. Every text message, every social media post, every deflection in interviews hints at a young woman convinced that rules applied differently to her. Impulsivity drove her decisions. In moments of anger or frustration, she acted without pausing to consider the outcomes. A glance at her digital footprint, her interactions, her statements, all reveal choices made in the heat of emotion, unchecked and unmoderated. Control issues were evident long before the fatal confrontation. Friends and witnesses described patterns of domination, an insistence that others follow her lead, or else face her wrath. In small arguments or online disputes, she escalated, asserting power over situations she could not actually govern. Emotional instability compounded the problem. Court testimony and expert evaluations noted rapid mood swings, intensifying conflicts, and an inability to regulate feelings when challenged. What might have been a minor dispute in another teen's hands became a catastrophic incident in hers. Behavioral experts weighed in during the trial. One stated plainly she misjudged reality. Another noted she didn't understand the finality of violence. And yet another concluded, this is adolescent conflict taken to a tragic, irreversible extreme. Every layer of her psychology reveals how entitlement, impulsivity, control, and emotional volatility converged, creating the conditions for a single moment to destroy a life. In the courtroom, you can see it. The mother's hands trembling, friends' faces pale, detectives' jaws tight. The weight of what Bryanna didn't understand presses down, filling the room with grief, shock, and the silent question. How could a moment of anger become a lifetime of loss? The courtroom holds its breath as the judge clears his throat. every eye fixed on Bryanna Barozzini. The words come slowly, deliberately, guilty on all counts. For the first time since she entered the room, Bryanna's composure shatters. Tears streak her face, her shoulders tremble, and she leans toward her attorney, whispering frantically. The Adam smirk, the false confidence, the rehearsed calm, all gone. Halia Culbertson's mother clutches a worn photograph of her daughter, pressing it to her chest as silent tears run freely. Across the room, a friend in the gallery breaks into audible sobs, unable to contain the grief any longer. The human cost is on full display. The judge's voice cuts through the quiet, firm and resolute, emphasizing responsibility, accountability, and the lives forever altered by a single act of violence. Every word lands with weight, reminding the courtroom that justice is not only measured in punishment, but in recognition of the shattered families and communities left in the aftermath. The sentence is read, 3 years in prison. The room reacts in a mix of shock, relief, and disbelief. Some murmur quietly, some bow their heads in sorrow, others exchange glances that speak of the finality of consequence. The camera lingers on the empty witness stand, a silent testament to the truth revealed and the lives it touched. Irreversible, unchanging, unforgettable. The echo of the case remains long after the gavel falls. Violence leaves nothing behind but loss. One reckless decision, a single moment of anger, can tear apart not one life, but 2 families, leaving grief and regret in its wake. And sometimes, when you think the worst is over, when you believe you're walking away, that is the moment the truth finds you, unrelenting and undeniable. If this story moved you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe for more true crime courtroom cases, and share your thoughts in the comments below, because understanding the weight of choices is the first step to preventing tragedy.